I hope everybody's having a good Monday. Today's video is gonna try. I'm gonna try and keep it short, but we in the United States are being hit from the evil trifecta. That includes communism, radical Islam, and globalism. Okay, those three things are kind of converging and threaten the continued existence of not only the United States as a constitutional republic, but also Western civilization as a whole. Just hear me out for a minute. Okay, you have the Marxists, the communists, the neo Marxists, the radical socialists, the far left, whatever you want to call them. Um, they see the United States as evil. They want to crash our system. They want to bring it down. And they want to basically make us some kind of a communist country. The second group is radical Islamists. Now, I'm not talking about your ordinary Muslim who prays to Allah and who lives their life according to their beliefs. That's not who I'm speaking of. I'm speaking of the Muslims who don't want to live in an Islamic country and they would rather go into a non Islamic country with the long term goal or objective of turning it into a Muslim country. Exhibit A would be England, Exhibit B would be France, Exhibit C would be Belgium. Those three countries are essentially going to be lost. They're going to be Islamified probably within the next 20 years. They've imported a large number of people in there who are hostile to their culture, don't share any of their values, and are basically turning it into the country that they left. Okay, and that's going to be a problem. Another problem is globalism. The globalists. You don't really call it a conspiracy, but people who don't really have any loyalty to one country or another, and they all kind of facilitate and feed off of each other. So the globalists would be like central bankers, certain multinational corporations, some of the people possibly in the UN or whatnot. They don't like the idea of a nation state. They want everybody to be under like global government. Now, there's nothing wrong with nations cooperating with each other and having treaties. That's fine. It's best when people trade with each other instead of going to war with each other. But you'll have globalists who benefit from flooding the United States and other Western countries with people who are basically hostile to their values. Um, they thrive on instability. It creates strife. It creates demand. It creates fear. And when people are afraid, when there's some kind of economic disruption, a disruption in infrastructure and things like that, people gravitate towards authoritarian rule. They want somebody to fix the problem, and they're always willing to give up freedom to obtain an illusion of security. So those are the three things that come at us. And now, if you look at uh, the left in our country, they see bringing in Islamists as a way to further move the country farther to the left. A lot of them also are racist and they see more brown people as being more socialist. The assumption is that people who are brown are going to vote for socialists. In some cases, that's true, but it's not always true. There are a lot of people of color who don't want anything to do with that. They are proud Americans. They love living here and they love our freedom and they're willing to defend it. But the left will see the Islamists as the way to usher in leftist and progressive and Marxist ideas. However, the Islamists see the left and the Democrats and the Marxists and whatever you want to call them, they see them as a tool to bring in Islam into Western countries. Now, you look at a situation, they both see each other as a means to an end. And then the globalists are benefiting from all of it. They don't want peace and prosperity. They don't want abundance. They want strife. They want factions fighting with each other. They want like tribalism. because it enables them to say, well, this system of your national sovereignty doesn't work. You know, you have this, you have the wealth or whatever. So you've been unfair to these people. So we're going to bring millions of them into your country. And, um, you know, you hear people, sometimes you hear people who are racist say, oh, it's the great replacement theory. Well, not really. It's not replacement, it's crowding out. Um, you don't need a violent takeover. Look at Western Europe. They brought in several million people from you know, the third world, and they didn't have to have a civil war. They didn't have to have gunshots. There wasn't violence in the streets or anything like that. It's just if you if you follow any of this, like you listen to there's a guy named Anjem Chowdhury. He's an Islamic scholar. I believe he lives in England, and he basically was in an interview and he said to the reporter, "Do you have a wife?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." "Do you have one kid? Two kids?" Says, "I have one kid." And he says, "Well, you know, we have two or three wives and two or three children with each wife." He said, "How long does it take? It's not even 50 years, and we take you over." He wasn't, I admire the guy for being candid about what their intentions were. And I have been to England within the last 2 years. I've been to France. I've been to Belgium. I've been all over much of Europe. And they've got a tiger by the tail over there. They have imported a lot of people who didn't assimilate. They chose not to become English or whatever, and they're living there. They're enjoying the benefits of society. But now the people in England are all like, how did this happen? Well, doesn't take the genius of Albert Einstein to figure it out. So here we have the globalists, the Islamists, and the Marxists who don't really necessarily like each other, but yet politics makes for strange bedfellows. So the enemy of my enemy is always my friend, and that's the mindset that many people have, and it's going to cause problems. But I just thought I'd throw it out there this morning. It's just, you know, you have people want to blame somebody. It's not just so much a matter of blame. And you know, the United States, we have always been a melting pot. We've had people come from around the world, but people have largely assimilated. We have a problem now where a lot of people don't assimilate. Um, you know, I'm a descendant of immigrants, obviously, and immigration can be a good thing, but it has to be viewed as, does this help the country, not does it just help the immigrant? Because you can't fix everything in the third world by bringing the entire third world here. That's not really going to get you anywhere in the long run. And if you do it enough, it also creates a brain drain on the people in those countries. If their best and brightest leave and come here, what does that do for them? You know, we can't just fix everybody's up problems by bringing all of us here. So, or all of them here. So I just wanted to throw that out this morning. You know, my brain was kind of working on caffeine a little bit, but we have some very interesting times lying ahead. And this war with Iran, or I should say conflict with Iran, because it's never been declared as a war, this could end up being a great long-term thing for long-term peace in the Middle East. Imagine if Iran and Israel made nice with each other, and Iran had a reasonable government, got rid of the mullahs and the clerics, and had a good relationship with the Arab neighbors around them and with the West. It could be beneficial to everybody. But if this doesn't end up turning out very well, and it ends up being a regional war and eventually a world war, people are going to start choosing sides. You know, World War I started with Archbishop Ferdinand being assassinated in Sarajevo in 1914. Nobody saw that coming. So you know, this could also be very bad. Nobody really knows what it's going to do. High energy prices hurt the U.S. They hurt everybody, but Europe is paying over $9 a gallon. We're almost $4 a gallon here. So that's a lot compared to what it usually is, but it's cheaper than the Europeans. But nevertheless, just stay tuned. We got some weird stuff going. Got some weird stuff going on. But I just wish everybody has a good day. Be safe. Be blessed, and always remember, it could be a lot worse. And we just have to ride this thing out. And, you know, hopefully the president has some good advisors behind the scenes who are feeding him good intelligence. Um, I know that people who have actually met with Donald Trump say that he's a different person in private than he is in public. We can only hope so. Anyway, peace out.